Hey everyone, it is Tia
I'm Kim.
and we are here to do another episode of Masks Off, which we love. So today we are kind of following up on some of the past episodes. I mean, everything's interconnected completely, but we want to talk today really about the valley because a lot of people are feeling like they're in the valley. And so when we imagine the valley, we're thinking of, you're at a lower point potentially, not necessarily in the really stuck muck, but just like feeling overwhelmed or focused on some negative thing in your life, whatever that may or may not be. So here's our quote for today. It's by John Wooden. All of life is peaks and valleys. Don't let the peaks get too high and the valleys too low. So the valley's too low. It's really easy to stay there, especially right now as everything is ramping up even more and more, even since our last time we talked.
Oh my goodness.
And recorded. I mean, just in a week or a little over a week, because we had a little bit longer stretch here between recording because you were off doing that amazing training.
Okay, that's good. I feel like it's been a while since we've recorded. It has been, right?
Yeah, you had a week-long training.
So okay, that was last week. Okay.
Yeah. It's all a blur. Fine. So that's the valley, right? So it's the blur that life is just like, how many of us don't even know what day it is?
Yeah.
I literally have to look at my calendar every day.
So
is that like a real valley? It feels a little valley-ish for me because I'm like, I don't know, what am I doing today? What am I doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
It's just, which also is being present. So it's an interesting duality there.
Ah, that is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You're just in the moment, right?
Which is unfamiliar. It's true. I mean,
yeah,
it's familiar, but to have it be such a widespread familiar is unusual.
Because we're so conditioned to the calendars and our and structure and following certain things. And when we have COVID, we just don't know.
No.
You're truly forced to just live in the day.
Right. And we just, even more so now, I mean, our county just has another ordinance that opened up yesterday at midnight. No indoor gatherings, nothing, just so it's hampered down a little further. So now it's even, what day is it even more?
Exactly. Yeah. I think we could be having a shutdown soon as well. So,
yeah. So when we think of the valley, what does that come up for you? What brings it up for you?
Well, the first thing that came up for me was that I remember when, for like the longest time when I was young and even, I don't even know how, for a very long part of my life, let's say, that I always was a little hesitant when I was on the peak or the mountaintop because I was almost too afraid of allowing myself to feel that feel good feeling.
Yes.
Because I was afraid of when I was going to be back in the valley again.
How long is it going to last? If I celebrate it, it's going to go away.
So I was afraid to like hold on to it or cling because I didn't want it to slip away through my hands because I didn't know then what I know now. Right. That part of life is the peaks and the valleys. It is the non-duality. You have to have one. You can't have one without having the other.
Right.
And I was never taught. And so this is what we were starting to talk about this morning. So I was sharing before Tia and I started recording. I just like showed up and said, I just don't get this. Like how so many people, myself included, when life is happening and we are feeling triggered or reactive, or that we react, we feel triggered, something happens and whatever our go-to distractor is, whether it's just to avoid completely and just like numb out, smoke too much, drink too much, watch too much TV, get angry, blame, whatever, all of the masks that we talk about, whatever one of those, whatever our go-to pattern is, that why does that seem to be the prominent way of handling any situation for a majority of people? It's such a universal societal way to handle life's events. whether it's COVID, whether it's, whatever's going on in the news, whether it's, I didn't get the job promotion or this happened at work with this one. I planned a trip and now I can't go. My daughter is trying to schedule her classes for next semester and she isn't sure she's going to get the class that she wants. And it's this, and some sort of overreaction, it's and I started out by asking like, what? And what I feel and come back to, and it goes back to my thing that I was saying about being afraid to be on the peak for too long because I didn't want to go back into the valley, is because we just weren't taught. And this is a generational issue. This is generational. My mom wasn't taught. My dad wasn't taught. Their parents, everyone just learned how to survive. And maybe it goes back to caveman days when, there was this constant threat to survival. And so our nervous systems are on alert. Our bodies evolutionary, we're on alert all the time. I think that's probably what it is, because you and I've been talking about how the body has a neural network of its own.
Completely.
And it can trap, the body can trap and hold that trauma, that energy in its cells. Every cell has, and again, I'm not a super scientist and I don't have a full grasp on this. So jump in at any point if I'm saying something incorrect, or if you can add on to this part of it. I'm just beginning to learn how much the body remembers.
Amazing.
Everything that happens.
Completely.
Right?
And so we don't know, and we don't know what it's holding.
And we don't know
consciously
fully
know.
Exactly. We don't the conscious mind does not know exactly everything that is stored in the subconscious or the unconscious, which we now are going to call the unconscious mind, is the body.
Right.
And the mind of the cells in the body. And in addition to that happening, which is just evolution, biology, that's how we are made. That's our software. That's our hardware. What is the hardware of a computer? Is it ROM or RAM?
ROM. Don't quote me.
I know. I'm not a computer person either, so I don't know. I think it's the ROM.
I think it's the ROM because that's the bigger one. And
I did just learn this last week, so I should know this.
In your training.
I just learned this in my training last week, and I should know it. I learned it for the test, and then there it goes. It wasn't in my...
You took in a lot of information.
I took a lot of information in a short period of time.
Credit is due.
Yeah. And you know what? And I think I did tell you this before, side note, that the conscious mind can only hold 7 to 9 bits of information at a time. 7 to 9. That's all it can hold.
In the present moment.
Yes. 7 to 9 bits of information. So
that's why we get such tunnel vision.
Completely. That's where that saying comes from. So,
and that's where, total sidetrack, remember the old video that went around for a while with the people playing basketball or something, and then the gorilla walks through and you don't even see the gorilla because you're so focused on you're supposed to watch the basketball.
I didn't see that.
I'll have to send it to you. If I can find it, I'll post it in the links too. But if I remember correctly, you're supposed to watch the basketball movement and know who has the basketball at every time or something like that. And literally someone in a gorilla suit walks through the frame and you don't see it unless you already know it's there.
That's really a cool experiment. Yeah, I love that.
I shouldn't have told you what's there.
I know.
Because now you will see the gorilla.
Yeah, you should have sent me the test.
Yeah, but it is fascinating. And it's kind of, they say, sometimes when an airplane has a crash or an accident, like by the airport, and it's rare, hits a highway, people are like, I didn't even see the airplane coming, because your mind is not looking for an airplane to land on the highway.
It makes perfect sense.
So it's one of those bits. It's not a bit. When you're driving down the highway, you're looking for other cars. You're looking maybe for a deer crossing the road. But you're not looking for an airplane. It's one of those bits. So what are we missing in our day-to-day life? Like when we're in the valley, the conscious mind is only seeing the struggle we're having.
Yes.
but we're not seeing, because we're not able to consciously see all the other stuff. So we're not understanding what's in our subconscious and our unconscious in our body that's having us have these reactions, but we're also not seeing the other side of the story of the struggle. And so what are the good things? I mean, we were talking about before we started recording, you've heard us before on accepting the as is. It's just raining. But we could attach a story to the rain. And then we were talking about a tsunami versus rain. But when we look at the rain, let's say it's a beautiful spring rain and we're super excited about the rain and it smells good. But in that moment, there's earthworms drowning or some other thing, so we're not seeing the struggle because we're seeing the good. But if we're seeing the rain as bad, we're not seeing the nourishment that it's feeding the prairie grasses or whatever.
And that's great that you brought up the rain again, because I think we did talk about the rain in another episode where rain is just a neutral event. It's just raining. And depending on if you're a farmer, and I use the same example, if you're a farmer and your crops are drying out because there's a drought, if it starts raining, you're happy as hell that it's raining. If I'm on the other side of the world at the same time and it's raining and it's my wedding day and my wedding is outside and everything is getting rained upon, I'm going to attach a whole different meaning. I'm going to come to that same event with a different meaning.
Remember the Australian wildfires and then it started raining? It was the most amazing rain ever.
Ever. Yes.
But if that was happening in an area that was flooded, it would not be good.
And the other
mind.
Exactly. And then the other thing that can contaminate and or contribute to those neutral events is the subconscious mind. What's stored in our subconscious mind from all the way back that has energy that's never been healed, that now is going to add on to whatever that event is, whatever that situation is.
And that's where the quote, don't let the peaks get too high and the valleys too low. If we get so focused on the valley and the low and, the subconscious mind piece that we aren't even aware of is adding to the lowness of that valley. So we've got those, 12 bits or whatever?
7 to 9.
7 to 9 bits that we're seeing. Then there's what we're not seeing. And then we're having the stuff that's stored in our body we don't even understand why we're reacting the way we're reacting. We can really stay stuck and make that valley really low. And that's why this inner healing work is so important, because then we're going to be in the valleys. I mean, don't pretend we are not going to have valleys. I mean, you've been doing this work for how long? And you're in a little valley right now.
Yeah, it was a big valley, to be honest.
So you were in a big valley. But
I was in a big valley yesterday.
And we can be there.
Yeah.
And that is part of life, but it's how long are we going to stay in that valley without doing some healing work and understanding and deconstruction?
And I'll talk about exactly. And so next episode, we said we were going to talk a little bit about, now what can we do? And so I'll share more of my process that I went through yesterday to help explain what do you do when you're, in the valley so that you don't stay there.
Yeah.
Because I can honestly tell you, I know so many people in my life, my family of origin included, like extended family and whatnot, that in a sense, they spend their entire lifetime in a valley.
And then they'll have the quick peaks, the quick touches of joy.
Yep.
But then it's like, no, see, it only lasted for so long. Now I'm back here in the valley again.
And then over time, because of all of the numbing and all of the distracting and layers of upon layer of whatever crap, they're hardly ever able to see anymore the real joy, to experience the real joy.
Not those little peaks of touch of, ooh, I got my new car or whatever.
Right. We're not talking about that because that is all, what's the word when it comes and goes quickly, fleeting. It's very fleeting.
Yep.
The feeling of a new car or I got a new outfit, like not that kind of mountaintop or peak. We're not talking about that.
No, exactly. We're talking more that I always think of contentment.
Yes. Peace,
It's
content,
just like you can breathe. That's how
breathe.
I feel it in my body when I feel those peaks
Yeah.
of the mountain. It's that presence. It's just like, oh, I am here. And you know what? I can see that. Let's use Corona, for example. There it is.
Yep.
And it is. That's what it is. And I'm still going to make choices and do things, but I'm not going to get sucked back in. So it's more like there's the eagle. It's when you're on that peak, you have the view of an eagle, right? So you can see it's the big pic. You see the big picture, and that one little fire over here is not consuming you.
Yes.
You see it, but it doesn't take over your life and put you straight back in that valley.
That's exactly it. What I was trying to tell you, what I was saying this morning is just when you're on that mountaintop or you're on that peak, you have such a eagle's viewpoint. Like,
right.
and when I'm on that place and I have that feel, it's what you just said. I just breathe. I have I can then breathe and I can just feel a release. When I'm in the valley, I'm like, oh, clenching, and I'm like all like wound up like a ball of knots. But then
when it feels like you're in a bowl, like the valley bowl, like so all the walls are around you and you can't see your way out necessarily.
I do feel like that. And I'm sure, and that's why I really felt like sharing with you this morning and that we're talking about this for the listeners and viewers, because I think it's such a common experience for people to feel like they're in that bowl,
right?
That valley, and cannot see a way out. How do I climb out of this valley? How do I come to the mountaintop for the peak for a little bit and breathe?
Or maybe they're not even thinking about climbing out of it. It's flight, fight, freeze. So are you the fighter and you're going to get out there and claw your way back out?
Yeah.
Or are you going to freeze and just surrender and be like, oh, here I am again.
Yeah.
My life sucks.
Yeah.
And then the stories we tell ourselves.
And you perpetuate.
And there's that co-creation.
Yeah.
But there's another way. And it doesn't have to be clawing yourself out.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to talk about it in the next episode.
I know. Okay. Oh my God. I just love, I really am. I have to just say, and I'll end by saying, I really am starting to come into my own of really accepting and really loving this part of myself that is super deep and just loves to explore and talk about life's questions. Like I could do this all day long and just talk about life and how life works. Like that's just me. I'm deep. That's how I'm wired. That's how I work. It's what I love.
You and me both.
Yep. Could do it all day long.
We could. And that's why we do this together.
Exactly. So hopefully our listeners and viewers can appreciate it as well. And I hope they enjoy our deep, deep conversations.
That's right. Well, thank you.
We're always so grateful. Yeah.
Very much. Yeah. We appreciate you listening, and, check out our online school on Teachable. Link is in the show notes. We've got some courses up there. We have a new one starting in 2021. But until then, hop on our Balancing Your Backpack. We're not going to do the whole thing live like we did back several weeks ago, but we are just going to touch base through December. We're kind of already doing that because it is December right now. Yeah. In the listening world, not in our taping world, but check in. Take care of yourself. That's part of not staying stuck in the valley too long, is balancing your body, mind, and spirit. And that's what we do in Balancing Your Backpack. So,
yep. Good reminder. Awesome.
All right. Have a good one. And we'll see you as we talk about what to do when you're stuck in the valley on the next episode.
See you in the next episode.
Bye.